My name is Imelda Maynard, and I am the newly appointed legal director for the legal services programs here at DMRS. I'm a native here of El Paso, Texas. I grew up here. I left the city when I was about 12 years old. We moved to North Carolina for a couple of years, and then we moved to Oklahoma, where I lived for close to 20 years before coming back to this region. I went to school at the University of Oklahoma, so I got my undergrad in political science and classics. The only way to do anything with that was law school. So honestly, that's what led me to law school. I didn't want to be an academic. So I was like, well, I'll be a lawyer. I went to law school at the University of Oklahoma and graduated in 2010. So I've been a practicing attorney since 2010. I just sort of fell in love with immigration law. I started doing immigration law even in private practice. It was mostly what are known as affirmative cases. So I worked mostly through U.S. Customs and Immigration Services, filing applications. I realized at some point I practice federal law and I can pretty much go anywhere I'd like. I decided, you know what, I'm going to come back to where I grew up, the region where I grew up. And at that time, there was a position open at Catholic Charities in southern New Mexico. So I came back to Las Cruces, which I thought was like perfect because most of my extended family lives here in El Paso. And then in 2021, I got the call from Melissa. So me and Melissa had met through my work at Catholic Charities. We were both on the Borderland Immigration Council, and so we interacted a lot through that. And she called me in 2021 and just made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I decided to come join DMRS. Here at DMRS, I began in the unaccompanied minors unit as a supervising attorney. And it was great because at the point I joined DMRS, I was already an attorney for a decade and some change. But I had never really handled unaccompanied minors cases. I mean, I had done some children's cases, but they weren't unaccompanied minors. And so I got to learn just like the ins and outs of the unaccompanied child world, how the shelters work. And it's been like really great. It's made me super well-rounded with a lot of the immigration issues like we see on the border, how it affects children, how it affects like parents, that kind of thing. But that's sort of what brought me to now. What drew me to the position, right, was we're looking at big picture sort of changes, right? So whereas as an individual attorney, you're looking at changes that you effectuate through your clients, right? You're not so much focused on what we call like impact litigation, just because it's not really feasible when you have a caseload of 20 or 30 people, right? And everyone deserves your attention. You can't really think big picture, like what would we like systemic change to look like? And so what attracted me to the position was I can do that, right? As the legal director, you know, my hope would be to kind of push DMRS into the direction of some of like the other large nonprofits we see across the country, where we not only provide like excellent legal services on individualized levels, but then also because we are such a test ground for like these really awful policies, for us to be on the forefront of like litigating a lot of this stuff, right? Challenging government policies in court. So that's my hope, getting there in the future. The other thing I really liked is just the ability to mentor other people. I've been an attorney for a while now, to the point where like I have a lot to learn, but I'm also at the point where it's like I've also learned a lot. And I would just like to be able to like pour into other people and like help them develop and show like, look, you can do it. Like I totally remember being a baby attorney and thinking, no, I can't do this, it's too hard. And so if I can be someone's training wheels, I think that would be great, because early in my career, that's something I would have loved. I think I would have been a much more bold advocate if I felt backed up by someone that was just more knowledgeable.